Good morning, dear Sangha. In Plum village tradition, there is a way to touch the earth, and we have learned the content of touching of the earth already. But I take a few minutes to share to you the gestures of how our teacher practice touching of the earth. So normally you can do it automatically, like you just do it like this and then you bow down like that. But in Plum village practice, of what our teacher have taught us to practice is first you bring your two palms together. And this is more like you bring your mind and your body back together. And then when you hear a wake-up sound of the bell, and a full sound about to sound, for us to touch the earth, and you place your palm on your forehead. This is represent wisdom, insight, understanding, and then you bring it down to your heart level, and this is the heart. This is the awareness of love and compassion. And then you open like this. Is to touch the realm of space. So more like this is time, it's the vertical line. This is where you touch the wisdom and the compassion, and also the ancestor, spiritual and blood. And when you open your arm like this, is you are touching the all species at the same time. And then Thầy also make it a circle. So that's why when you see Thầy do like that and do it like this, and when he touch down, it means there is a circle of reality where it embrace space and time. You touch the impermanent nature, and then you touch the non-self at the same time. And impermanent and non-self nature is embraced in the circle of reality. But now many of us, we miss transmission about this. So even monks and nuns, when we touch the earth, and then we will just go down like this. And of course, when you touch the earth, you open your arm and you touch like that. And then you open your hands, your palm, you display your palm. And that has also a meaning. You want to surrender yourself to ancestors, to the stream of life. You hide nothing in your heart. So when you know this kind of technique, and with the content of touching of the earth, the practice of touching the earth can be very deep. Not only when you Not only from the moment when your forehead touch the ground, but right at the moment when you place your palm on your forehead and bring it down to the chest, and then you open and you make a circle. In Vietnamese, sometimes we shy and we feel it's so điệu, so điệu. Especially when you wear a long áo tràng, long robe with a long sleeve, and then you swing out. It's kind of điệu, tiếng Anh là gì ta? Không có. Sister Quang Nghiêm, Quang Sơn nói there is no words for điệu. A kind of too fancy. But that is the way. Yeah. That is how our teacher practiced and taught us how to do it. Because the practice should contain the content and not the form. So every movement should be able to embody the content of the practice and not caught into the form of the practice. So good luck. So dear Sangha, today I would like to share to you to continue to share about the sutra. I just like to go a little bit through about Buddhist psychology. And this image, I think many of us are familiar with, especially when you listen to Thầy Pháp Khâm Dharma talk. This is his friend. So you see up here, our being, our consciousness can be divided into many different ways, and this is one of the ways. So it can be divided into 8 parts. So as you see here, the lower part of our consciousness is called store consciousness, alaya. In Chinese it's called tàng. And in store consciousness, there are many seeds, many potentialities of life. There is a life force is stored in store consciousness. And according to Buddhist psychology, store consciousness is also seed itself. It means it's also the object of what it is stored in it. And since the beginningless time, so there are many seeds that is stored in here, like seed of awakening, of understanding, of compassion, of freedom, but also seed of craving, of anger, hatred, of delusion, ignorance, jealousy, regret, and so on. Seed of physical body is also can be found in store consciousness. And the seed of mountain, rivers, stars, moon is also can be stored in consciousness, in store consciousness. When condition favorable, is manifest into a phenomena that can be perceived. And the upper level of store consciousness is mind consciousness. Not mind consciousness, but mind, manas, mentation consciousness. And this meditation consciousness called manas manifest from store consciousness. And this is the outcome, the result from the seed of viewing thing as a self, self-complex, self-attachment, and so on. This is all come together as a force that manifests into a kind of perception, a kind of and my manas consciousness manifests from store consciousness, but it fall back and grab part of store consciousness to be perceived as a self. This is me, this is mine, this is my body. That is not me, that is not mine. So store consciousness and my consciousness, manas, working non-stop. It's a live stream. It never stops working or functioning. Even you go to sleep, even mind consciousness stop functioning for some condition, circumstances, but manas continue to function. And it is called meditation because night and day is always have a tendency to perceive and grasp to store consciousness, partly of the store consciousness, and then construct it into an object which is called self. And that is why the seed, the habit energy of seeing things as a separate self, seeing things as a self, seeing things that this body is me, is myself, it belongs to me. The world is not me, I am not the world, or the world is belong to me, I am the world. All this kind of thinking is has rooted in manas consciousness. So most of the time, 99% of the time, manas always in a state of wrong perception. And it has a great influence in our way of thinking, in our way of behaving. And mind consciousness manifests from store consciousness. And according to Buddhist psychology, my store consciousness has the capacity to touch the true reality. Thing is in itself. But manas does not. Unless it needs help from my consciousness. But my consciousness, mano visnana, when it manifests and when it perceives things, the percentage of touching the things in itself is only lasts for a few seconds. My consciousness based on manas as the central of information. Everything has a base. Manas based on store consciousness to manifest, and my consciousness based on manas to manifest as a perception, as a way of perceiving things. So if manas is full of wrong perception, is always in the state of discrimination, then my consciousness is polluted by that kind of seeing thing. And that's why my consciousness perceived thing out there is also wrong most of the time. So that is why it's really helpful to cultivate mindfulness and concentration and insight in the field of mind consciousness in order to help manas release the wrong view about things, release the tendency to grasp things as a self, so that we can be free and we can see things as they truly are. And the other 5 consciousnesses, sense consciousnesses, they also manifest from store consciousness. And the first moment when eye consciousness touch something, you can get in touch directly to the thing as they are. But after a few seconds, it can fall into wrong perception. See things that is not in the light of interbeing of non-self anymore. Because this sense consciousnesses, in terms of perceiving things, it based on mind consciousness to function. And if mind consciousness is full of wrong perception, of narrowness, then all these sense consciousnesses, when they perceive things out there in terms of form, sound, smell, taste, they are not able to touch the thing in itself, the reality of itself. When you first touch the flower, and the first few seconds, you touch the flower in its true reality, thing as it is, no distorted thinking, no mental construction that is applied into the flowers. But after for a while, mind consciousness intervenes. And if mind consciousness is not mindful, is not equipped with understanding, with the insight of interbeing and non-self, then the flower is no longer a flower anymore. It's just partly true, but 99% is become a mental construction of your mind. That is why they say that when you love somebody, the first few moments you are able to touch the reality of that person. But after for a while, the person that you love is just an image of your own mind. And that's why the more you try to love that person, the more you become so ignorant about that person. You don't understand that person very much. And that's why even a couple or partner or husband and wife, they live for 30 years and they seem that they don't understand each other very much. So there is seed of ignorance, seed of violence, seed of craving. They are there deep in our consciousness. We might think that COVID-19 is the most dangerous disease, the most destructive virus that we are facing right now. But according to the Buddha, delusion, hatred, craving are the most destructive virus that is very difficult to remove. In the Buddha time, there's no virus, not so much. People are fighting using sword and knife. That's why he used the image of a knife. Everybody carry within us a sharp knife, the knife of delusion, the knife of hatred and craving. But our time, maybe they don't use weapon like guns or sword anymore. Our time right now, they are using a different means of war. Biochemical. Now they are fighting a kind of war that is called economic war. But whether what kind of form of violence they are born from this kind of affliction, this kind of, and among the three, delusion, ignorance is the most destructive, because we are so ignorant about ourselves. We misunderstanding about ourselves, and we misunderstand the other people, nation. We don't see things as they truly are, but full of wrong perception. That is why it's bring about hatred and craving. We know that right now in America there is a big violence happening a little bit everywhere, because one of the colored young men who was killed by 4 police, and they are white, in Minnesota. And 4 of them knocked him down, but one of them using the leg and places on the back of his neck on the ground. And the young man was calling, "I cannot breathe. Please release me. I cannot breathe anymore." But the police officer did not release his leg, so the man died. And now there are the riots of strike all over in the United States, calling for justice for that young man. And the seed of violence grow. And that is the thinking of racism is becoming very dominant in the country. The seed of discrimination, the thinking of discrimination is happening. And fire and fighting, and even there are police who is killed by the group. And this is more scary than the COVID-19. Because if the problem is not solved, the country will continue to become a chaos, where violence is raging in the country. So it can be started from here. Even Martin Luther King have fought, struggled for human rights a few decades ago. But we all know that the seed of violence, of fear, of wrong perceptions is still there in the heart of people. So when conditions are favorable, they will be touched and it will grow. And the outcome of the delusion is hatred, anger, violence, and fear. So as a practitioner, we should be able to recognize this kind of seed that is lie deep in our consciousness. And learn how to transform this kind of energy within us in order for peace and harmony to take place. Now, some of the countries are living in fear because their land or their ocean is being invaded. Now China wants to be the strongest in the world. The US used to be the strongest. Now they don't like the Chinese to grow and to be the strongest country. So there is a conflict and war is happening in terms of economy. And other countries also living in fear about what is happening. So there is a seed of fear, there is a seed of struggling for power, there is a seed of, there is a wrong perception that if I am strong, then I will be the most powerful country. And we all know that this is an illusion, because how can you be without the other? So if there is no deep understanding about us and about the people around us, about the thing around us, we are ignorantly struggle for power. And we also think that we always think that we don't have enough. That is why we go out there and get for more. And when we are going out there and get for more, then we create seed of fear and violence in other people, in other countries. And this is, we are allowing seed of violence to grow slowly, day by day. In Buddhist psychology, we learn that there are three fields of perceptions. And the first field of perception is things in themselves. This means that we are able to see things as they are in the light of interbeing and non-self. When you look at a flower, you are able to touch the sunshine, the rain, the soil. the warmth, the water, everything. When you look into yourself, you see, you touch your ancestors, your father and your mother, and even you touch the enemy that is there in yourself at the same time. When you say that you see things in yourself, it means that you see the black in the white and the white in the black. You cannot see that the black is the black and the white is the white. White is not black, black is not white. This is an illusion. This is war when we see things in this way. But most of the time, we are not able to touch this field of perception, this field of thing. Most of the time, we are in this state of representation. We look into ourselves, and we only touch partly ourselves. We don't touch the other part of ourselves, which is our mom, our dad, our brother and sister. We don't touch the earth, the sky, the star, the moon, the river in us. You only see that we are separate from others. So this is a representation. We base on a little bit of the truth, of the real, but we color, we label, we construct. And all of this is already there in our store consciousness. Seed of viewing thing as self, seed of self-complex, seed of attachment to itself, and so on. So we take the thing that is stored in our consciousness, we bring it up and we project to the object that we are perceiving. And that is why we don't see that person in her or his reality, but mostly is from our mental construction. If you are happy, if you are full of understanding and love, then when you perceive something out there with that person or that thing, your way of looking into that person or that thing is different. But if you are full of anger, fear, or trauma, or jealousy, prejudice, then the way you perceive things out there is just a reflection of your own mind. That is called a world of representation. It's full of distortion and also mental construction. And mere image is completely a dream state of mind. The image that you have from representation, you build up day by day, life after life. This kind of image has been stored in your store consciousness. And when you sleep, it's come up, manifest as a dream. And sometimes you don't sleep, you walk or you sit there, but you are daydreaming about things. Mostly in your imagination. They are not reality. So this kind of three way of perceiving reality, how many times or how much time in your daily life that you are able to touch the reality in itself? Or most of the time you are in the world of representation. When you look at the rope from afar in the twilight hanging on the tree, and right away you jump into conclusion, oh, it is a snake, and then you run away. But actually, when you come closer, it's not a snake, it's just a rope. So that is why we have to be mindful, we have to embody ourselves with mindfulness and concentration. We learn how to practice deep looking in order to see things, to understand things as they are. So let's go to the sutra and see how the Buddha overcome his violence and fear. So verse number 9. Do not insult anyone. Do not drown in nor be attached to deception, appearance. Do not drown in entertainments and forget that the goal of the practice is to help oneself and others to be free from suffering. Do not insult anyone. Do we think that this has happened during the Buddha time? No, it is happening. It's happening right now in America. A young man is killed. And violence is raging. Not only in that city, a little bit everywhere in the city, and even in the White House, in the front of White House. People are raging, people are striking for justice. And it doesn't have an end yet. And I believe if the government don't act quickly, violence can continue to rage very badly. So there should be a deep listening. There should be should act in a way that brings justice into the heart of people. And they say that if there is no justice, violence continues. So the king, Virudaka, because only one verse, or a few words that insult him, then the whole Sakya clan was killed after, when he became a king, according to the sutra. So when we insult someone, when we say something or do something that makes the other person hurt, it will plant a seed of violence, and the sharp knife in the heart of the person becomes sharper and ready to take a revenge. So we have to be very careful of what we are saying, what we are doing to the person, to our loved one. Because one word can bring that person into the realm of true happiness, but only one word that can kill that person, or that person can rise and become a very cruel person. If the king say one word, the whole country will become peaceful. But the king say one word, then the country become a mess. So this is the practice of the fourth training: loving speech and deep listening. Not to be deceived by the appearance. Most of the time we are deceived, we are fooled by the appearance. When a young man look into the internet and see a beautiful lady, a Miss World or something like that, and we see the whole image is so perfect, everything is so perfect, the face, the body, the legs and everything, the color, but that is not the truth. We all know that. Everything is done by the not only Photoshop, but the professional makeup person. I remember when a young man asked Thầy in Hong Kong in a public talk, "Dear Thầy, I am the professional makeup person. And even a lady who is not very beautiful, I can make that person into a very beautiful lady." And you see it on the magazine. Is it right livelihood? Yeah. And of course not. Yeah. And you see that, but many young men can look into the image of the person, of a lady, a young lady on the magazine or internet or whatever. We can be deceived by that appearance. And we know, oh, that person is beautiful. But when you are next to that person, when she sleeps, her saliva is like pouring out. And her mouth can be very not fragrant. And you see. So we can be deceived by the appearance. We don't know the truth. When people say that, oh, drinking beer is really good, and you have never drank beer before, but you are, by the media, advertisement, they say that is good, you should take it. But when you take it, if your first impression is really bad, you will never touch it anymore. But if you taste it and you feel good about it, you continue to take it. But looking deeply into beer or alcohol, you see that if you take a lot of that, you will risk your body. You create suffering for yourself and your family. If you see that, then you are not caught into the appearance. Most of the time, we are caught in this. If people say things like that is good, and you believe it is good, and you find many ways in order to get it. And there are people who spend a lot of money just buy a purse. And a purse can cost about many thousand US dollars. Just to, once a year you put it on and go to shopping with your friend. And then after you go back, you put into the closet. So we are so busy when we are deceptive by the appearance. We have a perception that if we have this, if we have more of this, we will be strong, we will be happy. But that is not true. Even Hitler rise to the most powerful man. But at the end, he had to hide himself. People are chasing after him, living in fear. So our perception can be so wrong, and with that so wrong perception, we can live in fear. So we have to, and in the Diamond Sutra I said that where there is perception, there is deception. Nơi nào có tướng là nơi đó có sự lừa gạt. We are decepted by material, but we're also deceptive by the way we see things. Like there is no birth, no death, but we believe that things has the mark of birth and death, and we are so afraid of dying, of losing. Since not caught into unmindful consumption, do not drown in entertainments and forget that the goal of a practice is to help oneself and others to be free of suffering. This is sense impression. Right view, first of all, we have to understand the nature of the four kinds of nutriments. The word drown here is very strong. We are drowning ourselves in entertainment, living our life meaninglessly. You see the image here? The young people always party all the time. If you go to Vietnam, you see people are partying from inside out, on the sidewalk, in the house, out in the sidewalk, and even on the street. So, when we are caught, when we believe that partying, drinking, taking drugs, or shopping, and so on, will make us happy, that we spend a lot of time consuming. And especially when we suffer, when we have a deep anxiety, sorrow, feeling of loneliness inside, we try to consume in order to cover up this feeling of loneliness, of suffering. We believe that if we covered up our mind, our sadness, our fear, our worry with these things, we will suffer less. But that is not true. When we suffer, we go to the bar and we drink until we get drunk. And we think that when I get drunk, I will forget my suffering. But after you wake up from you will continue to encounter the suffering again. And young people take drugs in order to forget, because taking drug, cocaine or marijuana, you feel very high, you forget everything. But after that, when the drug is gone in your body, disappear in your body system, you go back to square one. You face your suffering again. So it doesn't go away. In fact, when you get addicted to drugs, you suffer more with drugs. If there is no drugs, your body you suffer a lot, and you need more drugs. And that's why young people, when they get caught in this, the only way is to work for the elders who sell drugs, drug dealer, in order to continue to feed yourself with drugs. So, and when drug is no longer work for you, and then you also face the suffering within yourself, then you feel hopeless, you feel despair, and to the point that you cannot hold your life anymore. You commit suicide. And that is why now young people nowadays, Each year, 1 million young people committed suicide in the world. It's a lot, more than the COVID-19 killed the people, take the life of the people. Diabetes is the biggest disease, biggest illness in humankind. It's taking many lives each year. Then the COVID-19 is taking the life of people. So mindful consumption is so needed in our time. So if we don't have, as a young people, the Buddha advises that we should not pull away or caught into the kind of entertainments. We watch movies to kill our time. We consume to forget, and we forget we don't know that we can be a better person. We have the deep desire. There is an urge, a deep desire that we want to practice in order to help ourselves, transform ourselves, and help other people to suffer less. And the Buddha, Jesus Christ, they are the people who make good use of their youth, their energy, and their time in order to practice and to find a way to help people suffer less. Mother Teresa spent the rest of her life helping the people to suffer less. This is what the Buddha is talking about. What is our deepest desire? What is our goal? Monks and nuns, when we become monks and nuns, we are not coming in here to look for material comfort or love comfort. We are here to practice, to help ourselves and to help people to suffer less. And we have to always remember that. That is our ideal. As a monk and a nun, if we are lacking of this energy, if our ideal is dying, we know that we will die as a monk or a nun. We don't have energy to practice and to serve. So if young people don't want to get caught into this kind of entertainments or worldly entertainments, we have to sit down and reflect deeply. What do we want to do with my life, with our life? And how can I do it? Of course, you don't have to be monks and nuns. You can be a businessman or a woman, a doctor, a nurse, an engineer, and you can very well perform your deepest desire in your own way, your own manifestation. You only need to have a spiritual dimension so that you can perform your life so that it becomes beneficial for you and for other people and society. So why you have to spend your time drowning in this kind of entertainment? But now, with the iPhone, with the smartphone, we are drowning into the smartphone most of the time and become so addicted. And when the survey, when they say that when people are addicted to smartphone, they're stressed, and their anxiety also grow. And they lose the skill of living their life and connected to the people around. So let us not so busy making up makeup amongst only a brown robe, 3 pairs of brown robe and 2 pairs of long robe. No choice, not so many choice. No cosmetic. But now people we are so get caught into cosmetic and perfume. That is why they come up with many brand of perfume, like I Will Return or Samsara or Scorpion. Even Nirvana, they use those words in order to name the perfume brand. So don't get caught into the outer form. Time is precious. And we should learn how to make good use of our life meaningfully. So volition is another kind of food that the Buddha had taught us. We should have a kind of deep desire, a deep aspiration. Mother Teresa, the Buddha, Jesus Christ, and other wise people, they have this kind of insight. Mahatma Gandhi, they have this kind of volition, deep aspiration to help themselves and to liberate their country, to help the people to suffer less. And if we have this kind of energy, deep desire, deep aspiration, we become a happy person, full of energy to practice, to do things, to serve the people. Verses number 10, what belongs to the past, do not think about it anymore. What belongs to the future, do not dream about it. What is happening in the present moment should be recognized so that one does not get caught in it. In this way, the practitioner walks alone on the 5 vast continents and is not envied by anyone anymore. Living happily in the present moment. We can touch the sutra of knowing the better way to live alone here. See? The Buddha said that the past has already gone, the future is no longer, not yet there. So there is something there. It's happening, life. So we should be able to make ourselves available in the present moment and touch life that is so refreshing and healing in us and around us. This is we have learned many times. I don't have to talk so much about it. The only thing that when you make a step or when you take an in-breath or an out-breath and you become one with your breath, one with your step, you're suddenly free from this kind of thinking about the past and the future. And you are there in the present moment, touching what is so refreshing and healing. In the present moment, there is not only the refreshing and healing things, but there are also sadness, frustration, anxiety, dread, worry, fear, panic is happening. And the Buddha said that just recognize it is there. Don't suppress, but don't run after. Should be recognized, but does not get caught in it. Is it easy? Not easy, right? When we worry about something, when we get angry about someone, we are carried away by this kind of energy. And the Buddha said that when energy like that is happening, you breathe in and out. Breathe in, I know I'm angry. Breathe out, I calm my anger down. If in America, this kind of practice is trained in school, elementary school, high school, and university, and trained in the community and family, then people know how to respond to the situation. Because they want for justice, but they don't behave as justice people. They become so violent. And Martin Luther King struggled for human rights in the content of non-violence. And not to break the window, not to break the store, not to retaliate. Because they don't know how the technique of how to calm the anger down. That's why they react. So both sides need to be calm, in order to solve the problem peacefully. So in our mind, there is energy of anxieties, of fear, worry, panic. When it's come up, it's happening. We breathe in and out, take a walk, or sit down, and lullaby, calming it down. This is the way that the Buddha practiced and offers. In this way, the practitioner walks alone on the 5 vast continents. I remember when someone told Thầy that, dear Thầy, there is a monk in Germany give a Dharma talk and talking so bad about you. Thầy, can you say something in order for justice? And Thầy laughed and said, oh, I have no time for that. Don't worry, I have no time. I have so many things that is so meaningful to do. I have no time for that. It means that Thầy doesn't affected by these things. Whether people say good about him or say bad about him, it doesn't affect him. When the September 11, and Thầy gave a talk and gave a wrong kind of numbers of people who die in Bến Tre, and there are people who take this and make it become a big deal out of it and criticize Thầy so badly. And then the other person who are Buddhist, they write and then they fight against that and to prove that Thích Nhất Hạnh is not as the way you think. To fight justice for Thích Nhất Hạnh. And when the man met Thầy and said, oh dear Thầy, I have wrote a book, an article about people who criticize you. And Thầy said that no need. No need. Because when people write something about you and criticize you, and then you write something and criticize back, it's war. Yeah? So to entail mind, you don't need to do that. The more you do it, the more you create war. Yeah. It's called religious war. So no need. So as a practitioner, whatever is happening, you don't get drowned into your mental state. They are just mental states. They come, stay for a little bit, changing, and they will be gone. You don't have to die. You don't have to become so panic about it. And living as a free person like that, wherever you go, you are a happy person. Free and unshakable. This is anxiety, dread, worry, fear, and so on. They are like floods, current of floods. If you are staying in it, you will be washed away. You will be pulled away. It's like when you are in a tornado. You have to stay and observe. You don't jump into it. You jump into it, you get stuck into the tornado and you cannot go out of it. Fear is just a fear. Worries are just worries. They are made of non-worry elements. They are made of non-fear elements. And we have to learn how to recognize. Smile to it. Let it go. Right? And live deeply in the present moment. That's why Thầy said that the moon is shining out there. The mountain is so green out there, my dear. It means that don't stay in that dark zone anymore. Go out, open the door, take a walk, and enjoy the beauty of life. Verses 11, sensual desire is the force that causes the most destruction, the flood that engulfs the whole world. Only by seeing that can all doubts be mastered. Contemplate interdependent co-arising. See that without freedom from entanglement of sensual desire, it will be difficult to end suffering. Very clear. True happiness does not depend on external conditions. Many people believe so strongly that accumulating more wealth, power, sex, food, and sleep, we become happy. In terms of sleep, there are people who sleep a lot, but it doesn't seem that they are a happy person. Okay? When we sleep a lot, we wake up, we become very, spaghetti. No power. But sleeping a lot is not a big problem anymore, because nowadays people are not able to sleep. They have to use drugs in order to put them to sleep. The monks and the nuns, they don't sleep a lot, but they sleep enough. 6 hours a day, 1 hour after lunch, 7 hours. Middle way. Out there people sleep 8 hours, 9 hours. Good food. Yeah. We are talking about healthy food, but we are not talking about good food or fancy food. There are people who spend 7-8 million Vietnam dong to eat just one meal. or even more. And after that, they said that sitting in that fancy, costly meal, I can never eat anything. Yeah. But I enjoy more eating white rice with rau luộc, steamed vegetable. I feel more joyful eating that than eating fancy food, and so costly. And most of the time you don't eat them all. You eat a little bit, you talk, and then you dump into the trash can. So it's a waste a lot of time, money, and sweat, and you don't even enjoy it. So good food can be an obstacle. And fancy food, good food, is always not healthy food. Not healthy for you, but also bring destruction to your body, but also to the environment. Wealth. People have a lot of money, and then they bring them out into the court and divorce. One of the men in Vietnam say, accumulating a lot of money for what? Nhiều tiền để làm gì? So we know that wealth, if we know how to handle, it can help a lot of people. But we don't know how to handle it, it's become a very negative effect on our life. And many people who are rich, but they are not necessarily a happy people. And we have met many people like that. Power. We think that if I am become an abbot, then I'll be happy. I have a lot of power. But being an abbot might not be so happy, especially being abbot in other temple, in the old tradition. You have to go to meeting all the time. You have to worry for many things. Being abbot in Plum village is different. Yeah. You have to do so many things. Everything is done by different group of community. And the abbot in Plum village tradition, you only have one voice. You are not the one who have the most power. And thanks to that you can be a free person. If you are caught into power, then you can suffer a lot. In Buddhism, we talk about the power of understanding and compassion, not the power that that can be used like authority. Sex. I don't want to go into this because it's a big topic. So the Buddha said that in order to understand, Buddha said that desire is like sensual desire is like a torch that you are holding against the wind, like a bare bone that the dog is eating all day, all night, but never fulfilled. Or like a fire that can burn you. Or like a snake, a poison snake. It can bite you and can kill you. So, in order to look deeply into the nature of our sensual desire, we know that in the Sutra Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha taught about contemplation of non-desire nature. It is not like that. But we imagine, we believe that it will bring you to happiness. So one of the examples that our teacher normally use, the plastic baits. Look so beautiful, so appealing. But when the fish come and bite that plastic bait, there is a hook hidden inside. And you can get bite. So when we understand the nature of our sensual desire, we are no longer get caught into this kind of thing. We don't become a slave for this thing, and we become free. They advertise that television, when the television come out, they advertise for you to buy the television. They say that television will bring people together. Why? Because we are sitting together and watch television. But after they bought the television, bring home, it doesn't seem that people are together. Everybody is on their own way. Yeah. And nowadays, and then later on, each room has their own television. And then they normally say that to love is to look into one direction. And that direction is the television. Because we are not able to look at each other anymore. We are not able to talk to each other anymore. So look into a television is more better. So we don't have to face our suffering together. So television does not make us come together, but actually it makes us becoming more separate from each other. But television is already old. Now, internet, smartphone. So you can see that a group of people sit together, but they are all on their own world. Each body look into the screen of the smartphone, and nobody talk to each other. Sometimes they look up and they say a few things, and then they're back to the screen. So we have no freedom. We believe that this smartphone, this electronic gadgets will make us happy, but in truth, it's not. Just make us run away from ourselves. It doesn't help us ending our suffering and help us become happier. The power of letting go. So when you are accumulating a lot of wealth, power, money, material, you learn how to let go. You see, this is a kind of life that I don't think that monks and nuns would love to live. So stressful, so much work. At the end, God help me. Thầy Pháp Dung become a monk when he decided to become a monk when he saw his manager sitting in the office, one phone on the left, one phone on the right, and then eating at the same time. That image struck him very deeply, and he think that, is my life going to be like this? And he met Thầy, then he ran after Thầy and became a monk. So, letting throughout the ages, among a great number of people, few have had the capacity to let go of the sensual desire. Sensual desires need to be let go. There's a monk who's sitting by the river, enjoying the moon. There's a story about the monk. He was in the house, the hut, and there's a robber entered the hut. He was sitting outside in the yard, enjoying the moonrise. The robber come in, looking for material, for money. And he looked so hard, could not find the money anywhere. So the monk sitting outside, know that the robber is looking for money, and he said that, oh, in that drawer, number so and so, just pull out and get the money. And the robber got the money and ran away. And the monk said, he can rob everything from me, but he cannot rob the moon from me. So, the monks who is not caught into material, the monk is able to let go of that. In order for him to enjoy the quiet moment with the moonrise so beautifully in the yard, he needs to show the robber the money, where the money is, so that he can go away. So he can enjoy the quiet moment of his meditation, enjoying the moonrise. Once having released it, the practitioner feels no loss or no need to go somewhere else. So he gained. He let go of the money. He made the robber run away after he got the money, but he gained the quiet space. Yeah. He had the space, to enjoy life. So losing is also gaining at the same time. So the more you let go, the more freedom and space you can have. In Vietnamese, there is a kind of plant, it's called cây hà. The more you cut, the more it grows back. So you might think that if you let go, then you have nothing. So there is a fear of letting go. But according to the Buddha, the more you let go, the more happier you are. Nurture your deep desire. So in Buddhism, we don't think that desire is bad. Sensual desires can lead to suffering. But deep desire, the good intention, the intention to love, to care, to serve people, is a good desire that we need to cultivate and nurture ourselves daily. The desire to practice and to become free is needed to nurture. So once you are able to let go, the thing that makes you not happy, it could occupy your life, make you have no time to live, to breathe, to love, to enjoy life. then you just let go or let some of them go, especially the ideal happiness. You might think that my happiness should be like this, should be like that. Happiness is happiness, and it's available in you and around you. You have to let go of that cloud or curtain of ideal happiness. Move it, and then the reality of joy and happiness revealed to you right in your face. So you don't have to go anywhere. You don't need to go to Plum Village, Thai Plum Village. You stay where you are, and you can be very well a happy person, a free person. The flood subsides all by itself, and nothing can preoccupy the person anymore. I am free, I am home. Let go. There are people who put on the wall, hang the words, letting go, yeah? Very big. But in their daily life, they're not able to let go of anything. Yeah. It's like a monk sitting in a cave and put on the cave the words forbearance or nhẫn. And some people come and ask, what is the words? And then he said, the last word is forbearance. Yeah. And then people are coming and ask again and again and again, and he feels so tired and he don't speak anymore. And then other people come and ask him again, what is that word up there? And the monk gets so angry. Yeah, said, are you blind? That is the word forbearance. I have said it 100 times already. Oh, I understand. That is forbearance. Yeah. So the monk trying to say, I am practice forbearance. But when people ask him, he gets so angry and he retaliates. So he doesn't speak, he doesn't practice forbearance. Yeah. He gets angry. Yeah. In fact, he should remain embracive and silent. But he could not. People bothering him so much. So let go of the idea, and you become free, and you can be yourself in that moment. This is what the Buddha have offered us more than 2,500 years ago. Learning to let go. And the Buddha learned to let go very, very deeply. Because otherwise if he's not able to let go, he can get resentment and angry at the king who killed his Sakya clan. He understands. That's why the Buddha is described as a full moon traveling in the vast sky, full of space and freedom. Learning on the strength, the vehicle, verses number 13. Learning on the strength of the vehicle of understanding, the Muni crosses the other shore. Thanks to this understanding, there is no need to worry. And one feels protected. Birth, death, disasters, and jealousy no longer have an effect. Thanks to the energy of diligence, the Muni attain genuine peace. This is sound like the Heart Sutra. Deep understanding. The Sakya Muni, the Buddha, contemplate on deep understanding that he able to cross to the other shore, the shore of freedom, of compassion. And what is his understanding? Insight of interbeing, of emptiness. that the Buddha is able to embody in his daily life. And once that understanding manifests, he feels protected. So he is not protected by gods or by mantra or by mystical superpower. He is protected by the insight of interbeing, of non-self, of compassion. He is able to touch the nature of no birth and no death. So birth and death, disasters like COVID-19 doesn't affect him anymore, or the practitioner who are able to embody this kind of insight. It's okay to die. If the COVID-19 attack me, if I have to die, I will die. But at this moment, I have to learn how to live deeply each moment, so that I will die peacefully. The Dalai Lama say, if you know how to live deeply, peacefully in the present moment, you will know how to die peacefully. So, if you know that you and your workmates are not two separate entities, then you are able to remove jealousy. You feel the joy of the success of your friends. Do I feel jealous with Thầy Pháp Khâm? Or do Thầy Pháp Khâm feel jealous with me? Probably not. We argue very strongly, but we still smile. And we still do walking, hiking together. We work together. So, no jealousy. Thanks to the energy of diligence, the Muni attained genuine peace. What kind of diligence that the Buddha is talking about here? It means the Buddha is nourishing the insight of emptiness, of interbeing, of no self in his daily life. That is the energy of diligence. He touched the truth and he nourished that truth each day, each moment, different from us. We touch the truth, we have the insight, but it's only flash for a few moments and then it will go away. And we are living in habit energy of discrimination, of seeing things existing outside of each other. So he is able to dwell in the concentration of interbeing, of no self, of emptiness. That is the practice of diligence that the Muni, Sakyamuni Buddha is able to maintain. If you want to understand about crossing to the shore of non-fear, please read the book, The Other Shore, written by Thầy. This is the meaning of emptiness. Emptiness is neither being nor non-being. It is free from all wrong views. It is neither produced nor destroyed. And it cannot be grasped by views. Why is this so? Because emptiness cannot be located in space. It has no form. It is not an object of perception. It has never been born and the intellect cannot grasp it because it cannot be grasped. It embraces all dharmas and dwells only in non-discursive, non-discriminative wisdom. This is the only truth and right understanding. Bhikshu, you should know that not only emptiness but all dharmas are like that. The Discourse on Three Dharma Selves. If everybody are able to have the time to meditate and is able to embody this kind of insight, then the world becomes much more peaceful. So every day as a practitioner, we should be able to nurse this kind of insight for us to touch the freedom. One more last verse. Verse number 14. Upon emancipation from sensual desire, suffering dissipates. The practitioner contemplates the emptiness of all things and is not preoccupied by anything, having seen directly the great path leading to peace. That person is no longer caught in any worldview. Worldview is ideology. I will not speak about the path, but I just review this is the path that the Buddha offers us, beginning with right view. People in the world tend to believe in one or two views, the view of being and the view of non-being. That is because they are bound to wrong perceptions. It is wrong perception that leads to the concepts of being and non-being, kaccayana. Most people are bound to the internal formation of discrimination and preference, grasping and attachment. Those who are not bound to the internal knots of grasping and attachment no longer imagine or cling to the idea of a self. They understand, for example, that suffering comes to be when conditions are favorable, and that it fades away when conditions are no longer favorable. They no longer have any doubts. The understanding has not come to them through others. It is their own insight. This insight is called right view, middle way sutra. So this is the path the Buddha have offered, the Noble Eightfold, the Eightfold Noble Path, the Noble Eightfold Path, starting with right view. And right view, the insight of interbeing, should be embodied into right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right diligence, right mindfulness, right concentration. And this is the path that the Buddha say, if we are walking on this great path and experiencing directly the path, it will lead to peace. And we are no longer caught into wrong views about things. And we know that most of the time we are in wrong perception. And in order to remove wrong perception, we need to learn how to look deeply in the light of interbeing, of non-self, of emptiness. And that is called right view. So our thinking, our speech, and our action, our right livelihood should be able to embody this kind of insight for peace and harmony and happiness. It can be possible. And this path, according to Thầy, our teacher, he said that the moment that you are walking on the path, then peace and happiness and freedom can happen right away. So you don't have to walk. You start walking from here and then you will get freedom over there. That is not the way. There is no way to freedom. Freedom is the way. There is no way to peace. Peace is the way. So that is the essential of the teaching and practice of the Noble Eightfold Path.